Here's a lockpick. It might be handy if you, the master of unlocking, take it with you.
Looting through the rubble, leaving cities war-torn, still incurring more scorn. Ragged and I'm forlorn, trying to unlock this. Open with my lockpicks, punching with my second hand every time the clock ticks.
All right, there you go.
That's probably why. Let's try this. Does this work? We're going to find out in a second because there's a delay. Okay, so I think that's good. Should be able to hear me now. Yes, all right. So give me one moment. I just want to put this down somewhere. Hi, everyone, for the newest episode of Master of Unlocking. For all of our viewers, I know every time we do this show, it seems like it's getting delayed. And I'm going to tell you the crazy reason this time because, oh boy, this episode's going to be, it should still be fun, but boy, was there some frustrations because basically I had everything running against me today. First of all, we had to take this laptop. If you hear any crazy sounds, there's a ton of vehicles going by and we live next to neighbors who have really loud kids. So that's one thing. But we had three things running against me. First of all, as you probably had known from a previous stream that we had to take off because N Commander couldn't stop doxing himself, we had to bring this website over to this laptop to N Commander's place for the show Hack All N Commander. And unfortunately, the theme here is me not being able to find anything even though I put everything away. So we brought all the cables back, but for some reason, because this laptop only has two USB ports, we have a multi-port, but the cable that links the multi-port to the USB port is missing. So this is going to be an awkward episode because usually I have a mouse to help direct stuff, but this time I'm stuck with the pad on the laptop. So if you see any like me leaning really close to the camera and being really awkward and stuff, that's that. Never mind that originally I was supposed to have two locks to show off to you, and the one of them, which is on a door, like a little metal door that I put away in the corner so that I would never touch it. I went back to it and it's disappeared. So I am not able to find it, which is why we're only focusing on the one thing, but the one thing should at least carry most of the show. And also it's probably going to be a lightweight episode because regardless, the United States Postal Service still sucks. If they haven't lost your vote already through the mail, all my stuff is going crazy now. The good news is that I got confirmed that next week all the stuff's going to come in. But I'm really glad for this mystery box because if I couldn't find the mystery box, I probably would have canceled the show today. So what is this show? Well, first of all, you probably want to know who's the dude with the crazy hair. I am Sidepocket. I'm one of the two co-founders of DEFCON 201. We are a hacker collective maker, software, hardware, general hackery group that meets once a month, the third Friday of every month in Jersey City, New Jersey. Thanks to COVID and angry cops and now rows of Trump supporters trying to spear people with giant flags, we have been digitally broadcasting all of our our meetings, including doing some cool content shows that are tailor specific for a different type of niche audience. If you want to know more about us, you can go to our website that's listed down below at www.defcon21.org. You also find us on a wide variety of social media, which if you go to our website list, but one of our main ones is Twitter, which is defcon21.nj. And yeah, it's that's kind of that. And this is one of my two shows called Master of Unlocking, where we look at locks. We find all sorts of weird. Well, first of all, we understand how a lock works, or that a lock mechanism works, and that's kind of what's the gist of our episode today. And then we find exploits in those locks, and then we try to open them. Hi, Diesel Del Mona. Yeah, I know. It drives me crazy because I literally had everything set up to be on time, and then it's like the cord that goes to the multi-tap thing is missing. Crap, now I have to disconnect the mouse and plug the microphone, which is thankfully out of view now, and the camera in the same thing, and now I'm not going to have this, and what do I do? Oh no, pretzels. Everything's trying to go against this show, but we're going live still, because here we are. As a megalomaniac pain in the ass once said, fuck it, we'll do it live. So, anyhow, first, I actually want to get out there, and before I say anything, I hope you had a fantastic, safe Halloween. I had a really good Halloween where, for some reason, this was the first Halloween where I didn't feel very social, and especially with a second wave of epidemic coming, I was especially not feeling social, so I got to stay at home, and I made myself some really nice food, and I had a lot of digital stuff, a lot of special video game Halloween stuff to do. It was really fun for me. If you want to talk about your Halloween, or you want to question my crazy hair, or the shirt that I'm wearing that unfortunately doesn't glow in the dark, or any of today's lockpicking topics, you can talk in the chat, because I love reading the chat and talking with you all. Otherwise, keep lurking and keep learning. It's okay if you lurk. We like lurkers. It's just I really like chatting with people more. Also to note again, if you really like the content that you're going to, well, we have very lack of content today, but if you liked what you see today, and you also want to check out like our upcoming meeting on November 20th, which we're currently almost at the final stages of building, I'm really excited. I know every meeting I am always like, because I'm the person who designs the content for our meetings, I say I'm really excited, but what happens is then the next meeting I go to, for some reason, I end up outdoing myself somehow. And I had great help from the other members, such as G.I. Jack, who has his own show called Archvile Linux Perspective, and N Commander with his show Hackall N Commander, and Saracel, who is sadly doing some really important adulting things right now, so he can't be here to help. If you do like that, you can hit that bell, click like, share, subscribe on Twitch, DLive, or YouTube. If you join any of those, or you send us bits on Twitch, or super chats on, trying to remember them all, YouTube, or lemons on DLive, we see them pop up, and we love shouting people out, and that way you can keep up to date on what's going on. So before we go into today's kind of anemic topic here, I want to go over a couple of things. First of all, this show is called Master of Unlocking because I'm a giant dork video gamer, and as you saw with the intro, I'm a big Resident Evil fan, and I always love that, Jill Valentine, my bae, who's the mistress. She should really be called the Mistress of Unlocking, but they called her the Master of Unlocking because Japan had no concept of what voice acting was back then. They were probably drinking all this stuff behind me. So, that's why this show's called that. I'm part of an organization called TOOL. That's TOOL, TOOL with 3 O's. It stands for the Open Organization of Lockpickers. There's a level called Master in that. I am not a master in that. I help out a lot at TOOL. Maybe not so much this year, but I definitely helped at cons, and because a lot of people at TOOL are my friends, and actually early this year I finally became a member. But yeah, I'm the master is because of the name of the show. That's not like an actual rank. I haven't done the belt system yet that Lockpickers United done, which we've covered in a previous episode. This show, while I do know how to pick and bypass locks, as you're probably going to see today, because I'm going to be dealing with something that's really difficult, I'm often learning along with all of you folks out there. And this is going to be a special episode if you really like to watch people struggle, because you're going to watch me struggle with this. So even though this is not Tool sponsored, also any of the equipment and stuff that I show from like Southord or Sparrows, and this is really, I showed this last time, this is just really here to look cool. Also shout outs to these fine folks. I make recommendations, but I'm not sponsored by anyone. In fact, Sparrows, if you want to sponsor me, please let me know. Greatly appreciated. But yeah, anything here is of my own opinion. And even though, again, that this is also not Tool sponsored or endorsed, I want to go over 2 rules that they have that we follow on the show, not only because I'm a Tool member, but just because I think they're common sense rules in a world that's, particularly after 2016, there's no concept of common sense, and would save your butt and my butt going forward. So first of all, rule number 1, do not pick locks that you rely on. So if you see all this stuff and you happen to have a lockpick kit at home, or you decide to buy one from wish.com, note, never buy a lockpick set from wish.com, and you're like, oh cool, now I know how to do lockpickings, I want to try all the locks, I have locks on my doors, I have locks on my windows, I have a lock on my gym lockers, my safes, I'm going to pick them. Don't do that. Those are locks that you rely on. You rely on your front door lock, so that way smelly Sasquatch guys with pizza rolls just don't walk in and be like, oh, there's an open door, hey cool, free TV. Don't do that, because it will weaken the lock. It will make it more susceptible to picking. You will also have a high possibility of breaking your lock if things go unfortunate, or breaking the expensive high precision tools that you bought, which are lock picking tools. All the locks that you see on the show are all there just for teaching purposes, for education, for my own education at home, for education to demonstrate to you out there. And when we have more physical meetings, our members go hands-on with them. I do not use any of those locks to secure anything. Those are purely designed for what's called lock sport. And then the second major rule is do not pick locks you don't own. Again, after you see all this stuff and you're walking around outside and you're like, hey, that is a master lock. Blah, 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 blah. I saw that lock on the Master of Unlocking. Let me grab a random tool. I have the tools to do this, so I'm going to go in and pick the lock that is on the door to this bakery or this bank vault or whatever. Please don't do that because, one, you're trespassing. Two, by trespassing, you are doing an actual crime, no matter how much excuses you pull out of your butt. It's just bad mojo all around. If you want to know the legality of lockpicks in your area, you can go to tool.us or tool.us / I believe it's laws. laws.html. If not, just remove the S in laws, and you will see a whole listing for the United States. I must say, for any of you foreign viewers, I unfortunately don't know the laws of many other countries, although I'm still learning, and I don't have any resources to present you. That will list, at least in America, all the laws broken down by your state for that. So again, do not pick locks that you rely on, and do not pick locks that you don't own. Everything that you see here is all the locks, all the tools. It's just for learning lock sport. If you do any of that stuff and you break your own tools or you get sent to court because you trespassed or whatever, you can't blame me because I did the warning. Are we all agreeing with that? Good. All right, so now we're going to do the camera tilt and get into what is going on today. And let's see, how far can I move this to the side where you don't see the microphone? All right, that actually mostly works. Okay, that's kind of cool. Let's tilt this guy up a bit more. There we go. So I have to sit down for this, not only just because it's going to be easier for me to do, but also because Hydration Squad, I'm going to be dealing with the computer a lot today. So, as I said, there are equipment that's coming in. This is going to be a mutant month when it comes to... this is going to be a mutant goddamn month when it comes to this show, because this month has 3 episodes in it. So after this episode, there are actually 2 more episodes in November. So there'll be 3 episodes total, and then it goes back to basically 2 episodes a month because we broadcast every other Sunday. It is going to be freaking insane. And that's why I made sure to order equipment in that should show up. But the postal service is taking forever, as well as timing with my own money, blah, 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 blah. And actually, because of how far away I'm sitting, I'm going to boost the microphone up just a little bit more. And now I think we're at a comfortable level. So, and there's my phone. Cyril had a cool idea, as he's probably messaging me, when I was like, what do I do for the show? What do I do for the show? And like I said, originally we also had like a wafer lock door, but we can't seem to find it because reasons. I blame Alzheimer's on certain people who live here. But anyhow, the main thing that was brought up was this mysterious black box. And this is annoying. This is apparently a box that Cyril found in his old place. And there's nothing in it. If you shake it around for some reason, unless there's like dollar bills that we can't hear or something, or like a giant spider, which I really hope there isn't. We know there's pretty much nothing in here. But what's crazy is I always keep trying to pick this thing, and I have a hard time picking it. And honestly, yeah, skill has to partly do with this. I think it's just there's probably some security measure or something I'm overlooking that's not making this work. But I am going to go into not only in terms of my skill set, but how this lock is designed, as well as an issue that I think I have with my actual tool set here, which is why in the next 2 to 3 months I'm also going to be upgrading my tool set. But before we go on into that, we're going to kind of do something cool. So if you remember on the last episode when I was also running out of ideas for content, there was Hacktoberfest. Hacktoberfest is over. Hopefully you did your 4 Git polls and got your t-shirts. I was really busy, so I only got to do like 2 Git polls, so I don't get a t-shirt this year. Boo-hoo. And I just realized this guy's upside down. Now you can read it. But yeah, so... and also, by the way, tonight we're also experimenting because I put this category into just chatting. And even though I'm late, I kind of want to see how many people will actually show up to to this in the just chatting category as opposed to the maker category. I'm probably going to switch over to the maker category next episode just because of the just the nuts and bolts of the episode. But yeah, last episode we're talking about Hacktoberfest, and believe it or not, there's actually a bunch of coding tools, like little interfaces that you can, that professional physical pen testers, or what we call physical red teamers, because red team is the assault portion. These are the people that break into buildings. The blue team, physical blue team pen tester would be someone who tries to fortify and secure the buildings they physically can't enter. It's the same thing with a digital network. Excuse me. I need to take another sip of water. I'm probably going to go through a lot of water this episode. So there's a couple of red teaming tools like that you can there for physical pen testing. And one of them was this experimental one called Houdin ID, kind of a play on word on Houdini. And this was a program, we tried to run it before and I couldn't get it to run. Now, off air, of course, because we weren't live streaming, guess what? I got the program to run. So we're actually going to try to get the program to run this time. So we're going to change screens here and hopefully porn doesn't show up. There we go. And actually, let me make this widescreen. So again, that's our website. It's defcon21.org. Our next meeting will be on Friday, November 20th. And at the latest by the end of this upcoming week, so by this Friday or Saturday, I'll have all the information details for that. But what we're going to do is, this is that Houdin. It's made by this lovely woman who, unfortunately, my mind can't escape me right now. And it uses this very interesting framework called expo.io, which allows you to basically like run applications. So now this is going to be interesting because I already pre-installed Expo and everything. So once Expo.io loads, it might open up a browser that I have a hard time displaying on here. And I just realized something. Hang on. While I try to get Expo running, which means is that it runs everything in browser to build it before it sends it to the actual application part. And I do have an Android emulator, and that's why my phone's here, because I'm also going to try it on my phone, because what we're going to do is we're going to try to use this in alpha red teaming app to try to figure out, just like she said, how it's supposed to work, if we can possibly ID, because I already know some things about it, this lock type, and to see if there's information out there about how to potentially exploit it, maybe even ones that I didn't think of yet. But while we do that, I also want to test out something here that I've been trying to get running for a while, so we're going to find this out right now. So we're going to allow, and that actually should work. Hopefully that will work. Basically, I'm turning on the closed captions. If you are on Twitch, let me know if the closed caption system works. If not, then we're going to keep trying this until we can get it to work. And again, if you really like the content on this show, you can hit bell, like, share, subscribe on Twitch, DLive, or YouTube. And we get to see the notifications and cheer you on and stuff. So what we're going to do is we are going to very clumsily go over to the terminal here. And remember, we tried this last time, and this is it's kind of trippy. There's something, okay, hang on. What just happened here? Let's see, something just weirdly happened. Huh. Okay. That was bizarre. Yeah, there's a weird thing. I'm going to have to get Siricel back because there's something freaking out about this that I don't know how this works. Actually, let's try restarting that. Okay, I think it works now because I just moved it out of the way just because I wanted to see if everyone can see it here. Well, we're going to try this. So I'm going to go into CD Houdin ID. Okay, and then, yeah, I remember that command from Windows. All right, so if I remember correctly, it should be Expo Start, I think. And this should load it. So yeah, it's starting the project because it was built in Expo. And you're going to see, yeah, it opened up to a different web page. So hopefully I should be able to copy this URL and move it over to the web browser that you can actually see. So we're going to find this out. And we can't. Oh, really? I can't do that? Oh, this is annoying. All right, so here's how we're gonna. So you can see in terminal, and by the way, if I put the full QR code that's displayed there, you are more than happy to scan that QR code and run this. However, what we're gonna do instead is, because apparently that did not work, and to be honest, I don't need the browser anymore. I'm actually gonna get rid of it, what we're gonna do instead, and it's gonna make everything look really trippy, is we're going to do a display capture. So warning, everything's about to look really trippy now. Whoa, you see all that? All right, so I'm gonna fit this. As you can see, everything looks like it's going to infinity now. That is normal, because for some reason, it seems to be the running theme of this show where I can't get the browser capture to work for any extended period of time. And this is Ciricel's system, and unfortunately he won't be back in a couple of days, and thankfully I don't have to broadcast anything from here in a couple of days. So we're going to move this below the logo, and what we're going to do now is go over to the browser, and hopefully you'll be able to see it. So that's what everything looks like. So it starting the Metro Builder, and again, that QR code, well, I could actually show it on this camera, and actually we will do a little, actually now I'm going to keep this here. So what you're going to see here is, and then I will go back to this mode and we'll do this, is I have the Expo app on this smartphone here. Get rid of stupid notifications that will dox me. So yeah, so there's all of this stuff here, and what we can do now is I'm actually going to switch over to the other mode here, and what we're going to do is I'm going to scan the QR code here, and it's already loading the application, it's building it, and we should actually see the application just start. It takes a little bit of time here. Oh, there was a failure to connect. So let's try this again. Cannot find. All right, let's try this thing again. We're going to scan the QR code for this. I think I had this type of bug before, and then I got it to work. Otherwise, we'll just load this in the emulator. So let's see. Oh, I know what's going on. Hang on. Let's see if we can actually do this instead. I remember this problem. It's the use of browsers. Okay, so now it should properly build, I think. So we're gonna try, oh, no, wrong app. We're gonna load Expo again. Scan the QR code. And again, if this doesn't work, I'm simply just gonna load this in the emulator and everything should work. It also just might be taking a while because normally the code should actually show up. In fact, that's what actually I'm going to do here. Let's see. What is this? No. I'm actually going to try this again. So let's try this again. If not, we'll just continue on with this box using our eyeballs. So we're going to CD back into... I love how this thing does not want to run every time we're streaming. I also wonder if maybe why it has this sort of corruption like this is simply because it does not know, like, what do you call it? It just simply does not know... It does not know, like if you stream, it takes way too much bandwidth or something like that. Okay, so It's now building. Well, anyhow, while this is going on, let's see. While I'm going to try to scan this one last time, I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I noticed about the mysterious black box. So it doesn't really look that complicated, but here's the main kicker here. So from what I can tell, this is a normal, I believe it is 4 pin tumbler lock. And in fact, let's actually figure out if there's 4 pins. We're going to take this tool, and as I showed last time, the pins are on the upper portion here. What we do is we go back all the way and we lift them up, and then as we slide the tool back, I will feel them drop, and you will, at home, should be able to hear them drop. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. That might have been 4. Let's try that again. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what I was looking for. So if you notice, there's actually 4 pins in here. So why did we hear 5 clicks? Well, there's a thing that drives us crazy in the lock world, and that is there's a little, and I don't have the close-up cam on, but you should notice because of how honking huge it is. Up here in the front, there's a little like shutter, and it's not exactly. I actually might borrow WD-40 and spray it first, just because it's a little stiff. So as they say. So one of the tricky things about trying to pick this is holding that shutter up so you can go in underneath and hit the different pins, and while tensioning it at the same time. And that's been one of the crazy parts with this guy here. So that's like the main thing that I've noticed, and I've tried everything. In fact, later on I might try another thing here, which is that there's actually there's one hole down here, and there's a hole and there's 2 holes in the back, but there's one like right behind this cylinder. And I always kept thinking, because I can't really see that well inside of it, that if we had something in there that we could somehow use to actuate the actuator in the back and bypass this mechanism, we might not be able to even pick it in the front. So what I'm going to do, since it's apparently taking forever for this to load, is we're going to go back to the chat screen again. And what we are going to do is we are going to run this in an Android device / emulator, which we already have open. We're just waiting for it to orientate. So it already went to like landscaping mode. Okay, now it's properly loading. I can actually go back into OBS, get rid of the display capture, and turn on, let's see, terminal. We're turning on Android here. And I'm probably going to have to move it around. But yeah, there's the app right there. And it's currently building. I don't know why it's taking this long to build. I actually wonder now if something's going. I actually dead serious do wonder if, instead of trying to be all cool, if I should have I should have honestly probably preloaded everything so it was running and then trying to get it to load. Because right now everything's going nuts for me. You know, because that's my life on this show. It's none of the stuff I ever do on here works. I should have probably realized that a long time ago. Oh, now it's building stuff. Okay. All right, so it's just everything's slow right now. And I think it's doing something with the stream. This might explain why. So if it's choppy, I'm going to double check to see if it's actually... We're still streaming. This stream might get a little weird just because, again, that's why it wasn't working before. Because it wasn't working before because this is apparently using a crap ton of bandwidth. Although I just remembered something because I'm a moron. Let's see. That's where it fell. Hold your horses. Yeah. Alright, which side does this plug in on? This might help the bandwidth issues. I completely forgot to do this part. I'm just trying to remember where this actually plugs in. It's somewhere on one of these sides. Or is it in the back? Let's find out here. I think it... Does it plug in the back? 'Cause I don't see it on the sides. No. Huh. Okay. See, here's a lesson that I really need to learn, which is that I should always make sure everything's 100% set up before Sewercell actually leaves for anything. Oh, geez, what's going on? No, I don't want Alexa. Hang on a moment. Because it should be over here somewhere. I just can't remember where it actually goes. Is it here, maybe? I don't know. It's one of these things. Because I know he had it plugged in. See, my thing is, okay, I'm going to try this and pray for the best. Because there's kind of an issue with moving this machine around too much. Because I don't want to cause it to turn off here. Because I realize this is not plugged in landline in. And I can't find where the actual plug goes. So that's going to be a mystery for another time. But let's see, is it actually working now? Yep, we have the app going. Okay, so yay. Why is my phone going into DJ mode? No, I don't want this. Go, no, go away. I hate you. Stop. Turn off. There we go. This is such the weirdest episode of Master Unlocking. Cheers if you're surviving this. So yeah, what I can do on here now that everything's properly loaded is I should be able to finally scan this QR code. So not only do we have it on the screen here, but it should actually load on the application here on the actual phone itself. So we're testing as what they call natively on the hardware. So I guess while that is potentially loading, let's actually go through the emulator itself. So the way this tool works, it's supposed to work as a reference guide. So it has some built-in, it mainly does its resources on LockWiki. Boogie. I don't really know much about Boogie. I heard that he's having his own problems on YouTube. So, but it's nice to see you, Jason Jesovich. So let's see. So we're going to start lock ID. This is this lock mechanical, electronic, or a hybrid? This is a mechanical lock. I'll be shocked if there's any electronics in it. It seems like we have hit an either, I think this, oh, okay, it's just, you select it and then hit next. Okay, so the next one here is this lock keyed or a combination lock? This is definitely at a key. And that's another thing about this box. I don't know the bidding for this or anything because this was a box that Sewercell found. He does not have the key for this. So if we can actually open this thing, that would be amazing. And for some reason, the application's not working, so I'm just going to figure it out later. So it says, is this lock a cylinder, lever, or warded lock? This is definitely it doesn't use wards or levers. We covered warded locks on two past episodes, and we're going to hopefully cover lever locks next year because I have to import those from the UK. So we're going to choose the cylinder. I think you can also maybe choose multiple of these. Is lock a pin tumbler lock, disc detainer, wafer lock, or a slider lock? So I believe this is a pin tumbler lock, but just to absolutely make sure, I'm going to peek under her skirt here, as they say. And also what's odd is there's kind of like little teeth on it. So this is either a window or if there's other, let's see. Actually, I was wrong. That's another issue. I believe this is actually a wafer lock. It is not a pin tumbler lock. I thought there were pins, but I guess I was wrong. At least that's what I was told. Which brand does it appear to be? Now, I don't think this is a quick set. So, and I'm not actually not too familiar with the different types of wafer locks, so I am going to just go for an Ilco. Is it one of these Ilco wafer padlock? It's not, but let's choose that and see what it coughs up. Because it might be something visually similar. So let's see. There's no, it doesn't show the actual keyway here. So let's see. So it just pulls. So no one has actually written info for this yet. That's fascinating. All right, so let's go back and let's try this again and see what we come up with. If flushed out, this would be honestly a very helpful and interesting tool. So we're going to do keyed is definitely a cylinder, is a wafer lock, and let's choose the quick set and see what pops up. So let's see, does this look anything like it? Unfortunately, no, because that's more of like a traditional S key pattern, and this is more of that open type of shutter design. So I am not sure this is it. So unfortunately, I don't think Houdin, this application really helped us that much, but I can see the potential with going into this. So I'm actually going to scan. I'm going to attempt to scan the QR code one last time and see if anything happens. If not, then we're just going to keep attacking this thing. And I like to be confident on this show. So I will say that I doubt we're going to be able to open this. But because I've tried this multiple times and haven't gotten it open, but we're gonna see. Again, we are going to see. All right, so now that we got the full screen one here now, let's see. So how are we gonna tension? Okay, so here's the thing. Now that I know it's a wafer lock and not a shutter, I'm actually gonna see if we can try a bottom of the keyway. Because my other problem, now here's the other main problem that I have with this lock, and the problem is that I think the tools that I have are they either have a hard time fitting around the warding, or they're way too big. Like this is mostly a standard size bottom of the keyway, and the issue is that when I put it in there, I don't really have any room to deal with the individual wardings in here. So my thought is, which is what I tried before, is that we would do a top of the keyway tensioning, and that might give us some space here. Now, the other issue that I have is now that we have some tension for the top of the keyway here, I'm going to loosen my grip here and do that. Normally what I would use, if you saw when we covered wafer locks before, is I would use this half ball, because the wards are not on each side. Otherwise, I'd use this ball or double ball, sometimes referred to as a snowman pick. But since it's not double-sided and it's going to be hard to rake with the top of the keyway, I normally do this. Now, the reason why if I remember correctly, I don't normally do a half ball is because the problem with a lot of these, doing a top of the keyway tensioning wafer lock here, is that I have a hard time reaching that front wafer. It'd be the same problem with a pin tumbler lock, where because of the shape of it, I can't really curve to get around, and especially to tackle that front wafer. So my problem is that what I probably need is a hook. And the issue with that is that while you can pick wafers with normal lockpicking tools that are not half balls, or snowman picks, in my opinion, they're a lot more difficult because they're designed to cup pins instead of push up flat shards of metal. So I have a hard time feeling for what I'm pushing up here, but I will try this. Also, another problem with my normal carry sets is that most of my sets are my EOD, unfortunately, because I deal with a lot of pin tumbler locks. I don't have short keyways for wafer locks like this. I usually do. I usually have all medium hooks, and so the problem that I'm going to have here is that I probably need like a high reach hook that's thin. And I believe I have a high reach hook in one of my sets, but I don't believe I have a I don't know if it's actually small enough. It might be a little too high reach to properly open this. So, and again, like I said before on the wafer lock episode, doing this is similar. And I just heard one drop. It's similar to doing pin tumbler locks, in terms of like you're trying to find the one that's kind of stiff, and then speaking of stiff, and not in that way, and you push that one until it snaps into place. And again, my issue here is not only are my arms getting tired from dealing with the stiffs, but I don't know exactly what I'm feeling for, because in my opinion I'm using a pick that was not designed for wafers. Actually, I'm just curious about something here. And I just got an idea here. I'm going to try something cool that I actually learned from my mentor, Night Owl. And I remember thinking about this specific thing, this type of lock here. And I was actually going to try this on the door lock that I originally had a hard time tensioning. And he said that sometimes if the keyway is too wide, what you actually want to do is use two turning tools next to each other, and they would properly tension. Now, I don't think two turning tools, because I just tried it, are going to fit in here. These big fat pry bars. So yeah, I think is just thin enough that is not going to, they're too thick to probably tension in. So it's really just going to be one of these. I will be back in a bit. I'm actually going to go to the AFK thing, and I'm going to try to grab the steep hook from my multi-bag of picks, and we're going to see if we can actually use the steep hook for this. So hold on a moment. There'll be no music for this, but I should be back in about 30 seconds. So see everyone in a little bit. And we are back. Okay, so I went in my toolkit and I bought out a more wide variety of tools that I usually have in the public kit, that I have theories that might just be able to either better tension and or more better pick this lock right here. I've actually never tried any of these before. So the first thing that I'm actually going to try is that I have two types of hooks here. I have one hook that is that should be, yeah, it is a lot steeper. If I can line up correctly, it's just ever so slightly steeper than the hook that I usually use. And then I have this crazy bastard, which is like, you could like, this is like, an Egyptian could use this to like yank brain out of someone's nose here, and it's super high range. So I'm actually going to try those first. So I'm going to go back to the top of the keyway tension here, slip that in there. Now here's an odd thing that I'm trying to figure out. I don't know if you turn that or if you turn, I actually don't know. I'm going to assume it pulls. So that's another thing too. There's like kind of two notches, so I don't know which part of the tumbler system to tension. So here we go. So I need to reset because I also want to make sure I'm doing even tension, because I still suffer from the bad habit of that. The more I get frustrated, the more tension I accidentally put on the lock, so I might be over tensioning the lock. Okay, click out of there. I think that was number 3. I'm really trying to get at, here's a joke, I'm really trying to get at number 2 over here, as those brat kids next door keep yelling all sorts of obscenities. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do it like this. This is kind of more of the position that I'm in when I pick locks usually. It's my most comfortable position. First one that I have a hard time feeling for and reaching, because I got these back too, but it's like the more I get closer to the top of the keyway tensioner, the less I have a good feel for what exactly I'm pushing and going on with these first 2 wafers. But I can hear the wafers falling down, so that's a thing there. I'm actually curious, maybe the super high reach, even if I can fit it in here. We'll see if she can fit. I want to actually try, will this actually change anything? That actually might be a better one here. So let's see if I can even put this. Okay, so it does fit in here. It's just a little wonky. Because the other problem too is there's a bit of a warding in here. So I'm trying to maneuver my way around that. It's like I have to basically angle the tip of the lockpick slightly to the right in order to get around this weird warding. And I think that's the problem with this long boy, is that while he is kind of giving me more space and reach to move around, the warding here makes it really difficult for me to get any footing on this guy. So that is progress. So lack of reach is definitely something there. Now I took out 2 tension wrenches. I actually want to see if it's even possible to do bottom of the keyway tensioning while, let's see, and this one's thicker, but it might be shorter. Ha ha ha. It's actually, okay, barely fits in there, unfortunately, though. Although, I wonder if I can actually use this basically as a top of the keyway tensioner here. So I'm using a bottom of the keyway as a top of the keyway tensioner. Maybe we'll get a better result. thing. I still have a hard time feeling for the front here. I am properly engaging them though, so that's a good sign. That's actually a lot more progress than what I originally got to. So that's really good to know, actually. I kind of wonder if something's missing, because the thing that kind of fascinates me is that there's like two notches. There's one up here that turns just this outer part, and then there's a smaller notch, which is what I've been tensioning, and I don't know which notch am I supposed to tension here. It's been kind of confusing. I also don't even know if this whole thing actually would rotate with the lock, so I'm going to do one last thing before I try to tension this outer part of the plug. And that is, this came from the original Southward kit. It's these weird kind of double side picks. There's kind of like a weird mutated, which I actually haven't tried, and maybe I should, is a half diamond. And then there's this kind of, it's like a two bump sort of rake, but it's kind of done in such a way with this like sloping bump that I might be able to, because the problem with normal rakes is that I think there's too high of a peak for it to properly engage with the wafers. This might be rounded enough that I might be able to actually use it to do raking with. So I think I'm getting way better results with this tensioner here. So let me find how I was tensioning it before. So then that slot, push that down. Okay. Now, the first thing I'm going to actually try here is I'm going to use, depending on where I put it, my normal half diamond that I use in my EOD to see if it actually engages the wafers better. Kind of does. Yeah, that's the thing, because Sparrows does sell what's called a... Oh! I'm sorry, I missed that little bump here. Let's see, what's up, DEFCON? How you doing, man? Saw you were on some, so I wanted to show some Titties Lab love, Dirty Jersey representing, and he sent some ice cream. Thank you, Ideal Touch, for sending us the ice cream there on D-Live. I highly appreciate it. Give me your Twitch link also. I'll follow you there as well. Our Twitch link is simply the same as our D-Live name, but it's live at the end. In fact, if you want, I can put in, let's see, TV/DEFCON 201 live, and that is our Twitch link. So for all you who are not on Twitch, and you want to also follow us on Twitch, if you're watching us on YouTube or on DLive, we will. That is our Twitch link. And again, as you can see, I'm so distracted because I'm looking at this that I didn't notice that update, which is good. And thank you again, Ideal Touch, for following us on Twitch. I highly appreciate that. So I'm actually gonna see, can we rake it with this guy? I'm from the dirty. There should be really a place called Dirty, New Jersey. I'm pretty sure that was probably the original name for the Pineys, but there should be a place called that, to be honest. And again, if any of you folks have any questions about what I'm doing here, what's the goal and stuff, just follow you there. I'm going to try to get myself up on Twitch as well. Neat. We'll after the broadcast, I'll look into your profiles and we'll follow you back, provided that you don't drive us too crazy, because it's our job to drive everyone crazy here at the DEFCON 201 live streams. But again, if you have any questions, it was Jersey when the mob ran it. Yeah, until a couple of years ago. So, yeah, Bay 1 is probably the original dirty place of New Jersey, outside of, like, well, see, the odd part, again, it's like with Hoboken, in a weird way, I'm like kind of nostalgic about like the way Hoboken used to be, because Hoboken was full of drunk homeless people, but they slept during the day, and when they would drink, and then they would leave the bar immediately and then wander around and then like puke in a corner and pass out. They never really bothered anyone, you know, here. Now it's like we still have drunk people, but they're drunk college kids who are all like into the bad parts of cryptocurrency. And so now we have drunk people that like try to like grab butts under the skirts of women who are not, you know, in relation with, and things like that. And it's like, so it's like I'd rather trade the smelly drunken hobos than the college kids that now swarm Hoboken. So it's like you could argue that Hoboken is also like the dirty part of New Jersey, but in my opinion, it's actually more recently, like, you know, it's a different type of dirty. I'd rather have the old type of normal, just homelessness dirty by miles than the new sort of gentrified type, you know, in my opinion, but that's just me. So what's neat is that I'm kind of making progress on here, because it seems like I actually realized and figured out more new stuff than I thought I originally did. But this lock is still a pain in the ass, so I'm going to try different things here. Now, I was really curious because all of New Jersey's filthy. Yep, that sums it up. We're filthy, but we're somehow not the worst state with COVID. Go figure that out. So that's what happens when you vote in finally competent people. So, let's see. You still live up in North... Well, that's the thing. It's Jersey City. We still live in North Jersey. So, but anyhow... this is normally a type of tensioner that is used. It's supposed to be technically for car doors. I think it's too small for car doors. And there's two things you can do. It's normally designed, these little prongs here, designed to fit in and push the little door. If you ever looked at a car door, there's sort of a little window on the front. It's supposed to push that and hold that open while you tension. But another thing you can do is you can sandwich these together and kind of make an extra thick tensioner. So I'm actually going to try that with this, guys. First, let's see if I can actually... That actually fits perfectly and tensions this entire outer unit. My question, though, is that do you need to rotate this outer one, or should I squeeze and fit it into this top one here in tension like I have been doing? I'm actually going to try the outer one. I'm going to laugh if I actually finally, because I've never done it with this particular tension, and this actually opens. I'm just going to hysterically laugh. And actually... because of this leaves such a wide area that I'm actually going to try my normal medium hook here and see if we can get any progress. And again, the other thing also about this is normally when I pick this, I have this on my lap held like up to here. But I mean, I could tilt the camera up to see that, and you could just look at my crotch all day. But I'm actually going to initially, I'll do that when I start going truly crazy. But I'm just going to pick this like this because, one, I should really learn different positions. That's what she said. And two is this is the best way for me to show to some degree, even though you're seeing the rest of this real estate, of like what I'm actually kind of doing here. So I'm going to go in. The other program still hasn't loaded yet. I love the land of our state, but the people and the air suck. I agree with both, although I do think it depends on like what people as well. Because like a lot of people from New York have come here and they're like, oh my God, there's so many people who are not wearing like masks, and that's because again, New Jersey, it seems to I actually wonder if this entire time it was this outer wheel. In fact, you know what? I'm actually gonna try the ball pick and see if this half ball pick and see if it works. But no, where was I going with the previous conversation? But a lot of people kind of forget that, again, we really handled both the coronavirus and the BML stuff, honestly, really well. Obviously, we had stupid mistake people, and right now we're going after a police officer that was trying to hook up with an 18-year-old that he just arrested. And that's been a whole thing in our state. But like honestly, we've been doing a lot better than other states. So I think we're just noticing now there's a second wave, and I'm pretty sure once everyone gets the memo, because I've actually saw on Halloween last night a lot more people wearing masks. So we're probably gonna go back to that again for 30 days. The New Yorkers, yes, talk about filthy area. And the weird part about New York, dead serious, is that in my opinion, the more like money that flows through New York, the dangerous that area is. Like I explained this to my relatives once. At some point, I was living in like the eastern part of Brooklyn, And what happened is that, like, you know, it was known for, like, it's not like a bad area, but, like, you know, I mean, you go to a Chinese restaurant, they have bulletproof glass there. Like, that's what you need to know. You know, same thing with, like, the Little Caesars and all sorts of things like that. And I had to explain to my aunts that, like, I was there for 6 months, nothing happened. And I visited my friends once. I visited a friend of mine in a 5-star hotel, like, right above Times Square. Like, it's, like, right in between, like, Times Square. It's like, I should say it's between what's it called, the Christopher Circle and where Central Park begins. It's this 5-star beautiful hotel. And I did there, and we looked over his computer system stuff. And I'm waiting in the lobby, and all of a sudden the elevator doors open, and and there's this guy who has bruises, and he's like obviously wounded, and he's half running, half limping out of the elevator, and he's yelling, "Help! Help! He's going to kill me!" And 10 seconds later, the other elevator opens, and there's this super tall dude. I want to say he was Russian because he looked Russian. He definitely wasn't rushing, let me tell you. Where are you from, NJ? My biggest problem with NJ is that people just internalize how much New Jersey sucks. They let all the other states walk all over us, and then we betray other New Jersey. Actually, that's also my opinion of Florida, too, honestly. I do think Florida has, like, you know, mutant three-eyed fish water and a shit ton of wackos. But, you know, the reason why you hear so much about Florida, man, is because there are a lot of... because of the way their laws work, they have to basically publicly report every single crime that happens. I'm pretty sure if other states had that, there would be so many different other man states. You know, we would have more frequently Minnesota man and stuff like that. But, you know, we don't because they don't get to talk about stuff. I think, honestly, that's kind of what's happening in Texas right now, where, like, so many, Texas wasn't really that much in the news, and now all of a sudden there's, like, outright terrorism and, like, you know, like, honest to God voter suppression and, like, from the Texas government, not even the federal government, the Texas government and stuff like that. And everyone's shocked, and again, I think if Texas had to report everything that Texas man did or Texas woman did, or Texas Bronco did, we would have the same opinion about Texas as we did Florida and almost any other state. So while I still think Florida is, like, I never want to go there outside of Disney World, I do want to give them credit that probably the reason why they're famous for that is simply because their laws require to report every single law. If we had that federally, like, statewide, you would have even a lot more American jokes than it is. But what was I saying before? So, that clean their main street every night with cleaners and all. And this is weird. I'm actually getting progress on this. So I actually think you have to tension this outer plug, and that does the whole thing. And maybe that's what was hanging me up the entire time. I don't know. I'm going to find out. And my main problem right now is I'm trying to figure out how much tension you actually have to do. So I'm actually going to start with I'm going to try to do really light tension as I tell the story. So anyhow, there was this giant, like, 8-foot tall white Russian dude that comes out of the other elevator, and he had his fist balled up, and his fists were just completely covered in blood, and what I assume was like brain matter or something. And he just calmly goes over the water fountain, washes his fists off, catches up to the other dude that was like, "Help, he's gonna kill me," and then starts beating the crap out of him. And then a couple of seconds later, 3 police car units and 2 ambulances show up. They arrest the other dude, and they had to intercept these other guys who were trying to exit from the back. And it turns out that at this 5-star hotel, this was nuts. It wasn't even like hard drugs. They were doing a marijuana deal, and it went completely south. And I had to remind my aunt, see, I went to a 5-star hotel in the good, safe area in New York City, and that happened. And then I'm in, like, East Flat, I was in, like, one of the east areas of Brooklyn. I don't really care if I announce the location. I'm just trying to do as best stuff as I can. But, yeah, I was in east side of Brooklyn where, there's just all these ethnic minorities and bulletproof glass and stuff, and nothing ever happened to me or really my friends. So, I'm not saying that's not that everywhere, and that we shouldn't ignore, like, crime violence and stuff. But again, when we talk about things like perception privilege and stuff, and especially like class privilege, like there's a lot of like cognitive bias in that, especially for people who either don't live there or like don't live in the actual economic zone that they're trying to like repair. So and that to me, that's regardless if you're white, black, Hispanic, blue, Nintendo Switch or whatever. that is a thing. And yeah, I'm gonna untension it. Yeah, so I think it was actually trying to tension this outer part here. So I'm gonna do something here. I'm actually gonna tilt this up. Yeah, I'm gonna go in a more comfortable position here. So I'm gonna retension, and I'm actually gonna use this half ball, and I'm gonna attempt to rake this open. So make a bunch of noise. We're gonna see if we can do this. I might have to get the ball rake out, because there could be security stuff on these wafers, but I doubt it. New York is the only place you can piss on a building and buy a pretzel off a guy right behind you. Sometimes it's the same guy. Also to note about New York, too, is that it also depends where you are. Like, the one thing I say in New York is that in uptown New York, it's all different color bandanas. When you're downtown... Oh, it popped out and fell. Oh, it's slowly falling on the floor. And then downtown New York, it's color bandanas, but it's the same methodology. Like, there's basically gangs in downtown New York, except they're corporate gangs. And then, like, uptown, it's, like, poverty gangs, but they like operate the same way, where they're just like shooting people and crap like that. So let's see. I like NJ, though I might be biased because I have some family there also. I live in a state where public transportation is so scarce and shabby. It makes NJ transit look good. What you mean? What is it, Long Island, or are you from California? Because like I've been to California, and trust me, I know what everyone complains about. You know a transit system is bad when it's called BART, like Bart Simpson. Like that's how you know it's bad. So I am noticing something here trying to rake this open. First of all, I think I'm over tensioning it, but second of all, I think another problem with this is that I think this box is so old, I might have to lube up the hole. Yep, Philly. Yeah, your Pacto, Amco crap. I actually went to Philly completely from North Jersey to Philly entirely via public transportation, and let me tell you, it literally took an entire day. It was like, I'm trying to remember what I did. So it's like I had to use the NJ Transit line to transfer to, no, I had to use Path to transfer to the Newark Penn Station, and then take a line that goes all the way down to Central Jersey on the west side of Central Jersey, and then you had to take, yep, that's what she said. That's welcome to the show where we have innuendos even when we don't want to. I'm not even kidding. This always happens. And even Ciaz more than that. I would love for someone from California to get on, and then it turns into like a giant chat war about who has the worst transportation. Let's just all agree that the United States infrastructure system is really bad. And we once had again a politician president who promised to, specifically this time promised to fix it, and nothing happened. And like that's the very least of his crimes. But it's like that should tell you that I think we can't elect any politician to fix our infrastructure. We literally have to protest like the contractors for that in order to get it working. But the thing is what I was saying before. So yeah, I take that to this like ridiculously long line in NJ Transit to Central Jersey on the west side, meaning the non-Atlantic City line, and then you have to switch to, what is it called, the River Line, which is like above weird monorail that goes backwards, so you're like riding a train backwards, and then you have to transfer to the word Pac Simcoe thing, where, no, let me think about it. No, River Line, and then you have to transfer to an actual Philly run line that takes you down to their subway system that uses actual like metal tokens, and then I got to where I needed to go in Pennsylvania. It was nuts. And I think going there took me all day. I think going there, it felt like it took 6 to 8 hours to get there, and it felt like it only took me 2 to 3 hours to get back. It was just really bizarre. But yeah, so I'm gonna try this one last time with moderate tension. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, as they say on the now old show, Raritan Valley, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, I'm going to go for a lifeline and call for someone, so. Hey, Jack. Hello. I need to borrow the WD-40. Note I didn't say lube because he would bring back the wrong thing. Well, it might be the right thing for him, but it'd be the wrong thing for me. So, and I could try the ball rake, although I'm not sure, because to me, these ball rakes are mainly designed with there's the big hump on the top and the small on the bottom. That's why they're often called a snowman, because they look like a snowman. Covered this when we covered wafer locks. I actually want to make one of these where the two balls are the same size. And thank you. And that way it's like kind of a 2-bump rake, kind of like, where is this here? And I actually might try the S rake after this.
If your 2 balls were a different size, you might want to see a doctor.
Yeah, pretty much. They have medication for that if you can afford it, because we're in America. If you notice, there's this, for pin and tumbler locks, there's this 2-bump rake. I kind of want to make one that's a ball rake that has 2 equal size bumps, so it emulates this type of pin and tumbler bump system to use, so I can rake things properly. Wow, we're getting a lot of people from D-Live for some reason. Question: where are all of the D-Live people when I am on, when I'm doing Crypto Barons? Because I'll put it this way, because we actually have a bunch of people from D-Live, I will actually in a bit, distribute some free lemons to everybody, but that's rare because I normally do, and I'll explain in a moment, Benjamin. I normally do on Crypto Barons, which is my other show. That will be this upcoming. Is it this? No, it's next Saturday. Next Saturday, because it's the 2nd and 4th Saturday of the month. I do Crypto Barons, and I try to get people from D-Live, and either no one shows up or people show up but they don't stick around to the end. And all of a sudden, I'm getting everyone from D-Live. So I don't know what's going on, but I got a bunch of people from D-Live. So let's see here. So I streamed on Twitch yesterday, and well, here for my birthday. Oh, happy belated birthday! I was trying to pull 200 followers on D-Live. Twitch, I made an affiliate already. Yeah, we actually are basically on their way to being partnered, and the only reason we haven't is just because of stupid contracts. It's on our end. We don't agree with a specific thing, and don't worry, I'm going to use the lube in a moment. But to explain, Benjamin, so I'm Sidepocket. I'm one of the 2 co-founders of DEFCON 201, along with G.I. Jack, who provided the lube that I'm going to use on my slot in a moment. We are a computer hacker, tinkerer, maker group out in Jersey City, New Jersey, and because of COVID and the Gestapo that our federal government has and a bunch of other things, we not only have live streamed our meetings that happen the 3rd Friday every month, and please ignore the trash over here, that's just my other roommate, but we also do specialty shows, and this one's called Master of Unlocking, where I teach lock picking and lock sport, how locks work and how to exploit them and stuff like that. So if you want to know more about us, you could go to our website down here. It's at defcon201.org. We're also aboard all social media. I should say a bunch of social media. We are on Instagram and GitHub and stuff like that. In fact, if you're on Twitch, you scroll down, we actually have a link to our GitHub there where you can see that Whodin ID program we were using before. And again, if you go to the website, it lists all of those. And our next meeting's on November 20th, and we are currently building it together. Hopefully by this Friday or Saturday, we will announce all the details for that. So stay tuned for that. So I'm going to tilt the camera back down. 2 guys and lube. Yep, pretty much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lube up this slot very sexily, and then we're going to shove everything in and see if it works as I make this long and stiff. And then if we can't get this to open in a bit, actually, after I do that, because I have to wait till the lube to settle, I'm actually going to go on to D-Live, and I will distribute some tokens, and then I better see you all on Crypto Barons next Saturday. I don't know what the topic's going to be for Crypto Barons. I'm actually figuring that out tonight, but we should do that. My other show is about looking at blockchain and cryptocurrency technologies as technologies. So we actually look at like the code of how blockchains are made up and like the different types of coins and the technology we use. That's like the most amount of coding we do is that show. So yeah, so I'm going to attempt to do this as properly as I can. So I'm going to line it up. Yep. Oh, that was a lot more coming out than I thought I originally wanted to. Let me try using my thumb. Why do I have a feeling a bunch of you people are watching this one-handed? And why do I have a feeling it's the female identifying ones that feel that way? Alright, so while I let that settle, just because we have so many people on D-Live, and I really appreciate that, I'm actually going to go to D-Live right now. And again, normally this is a lot smoother, but what ends up happening is that I don't have the mouse here because nothing's working today. So I think it's funny when nothing works. That's when I get like all the viewers. Like I remember when we were setting up for Archvile at one point, like nothing was quite working, and then when we did it in like basically our co-founder GI Jack now has his own fan club. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna open the treasure chest. I'm going to, let's see, why won't it let me select the other ones? Okay, so as a treat here, I'm going to put in, I'm going to just do a low amount. Again, I usually do higher amounts for crypto barons. So I put in a decent amount, and now I am going to run the chest. So if you're in here, stay in here. I'm distributing some chest rewards right now. You have 30 seconds. I distribute a lot more lemons on Crypto Baron. So next Saturday, if you want a ton of lemons, come in and we will do all that. All right, so I'm going to actually get a napkin, and as you should do, clean the excess around the slot for sanitary purposes. And hopefully now the different wafers in there will actually work. So let's try this again. Funny dude, cool my book. So I don't know if anyone down in DLive got rewards, but you're welcome. We can only do that once per stream. Again, if you want a crap ton of lemons, I highly suggest. Oh, something's moving. I highly suggest going to Crypto Barons, which is next Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. I finally got this thing open. I've literally been working on this for like 3 months, and I got it open. Holy crap. I'm like, want to cry right now. Ah! So as we say in Lock World, open! So that was magic. So let's see. There should be nothing in here. Yep, there was nothing in here. But yeah, I finally got this stupid box open. This drove me crazy. So as you can see here with this part, there is is like a tab here, and that hooks onto this back end. And as you can see, so this is interesting. So there's actually a lot bigger holes in the back, and because I was trying to see if I could get an implement to see if I could just turn this part, but they actually put a reinforcement. So there's like a plastic insert here that I think I can actually remove. Yeah. So there's bigger holes in the plastic insert, and then they had smaller ones on the outside. So I guess that's like a protection thing right there. So neat. Nice. Nice. Thank you so much. Yeah. No, again, we literally have, I mean, if you want to donate lemons to us, we highly appreciate it. But we do try to stuff the lemon box for Crypto Barons. Like, I'll put it this way. We've had past streams on DLive where I have put in literally like over 1,000 lemons and hit distribute, and then no one's there to collect them. So I highly recommend that if you, next Saturday at 8 p.m., I can't promise like 1,000 lemons, but it's going to be a lot of lemons that we'll be able to share. I'm just doing that because I notice everyone is following me on DLive right now. So I will point out one thing if you haven't noticed. The weird thing about wafer locks and these type of particular wafer locks is that they lock both ways. So it's one thing, so when you get it to the unlock position, you actually have to pick it again, because you notice this doesn't move. It's not like so. Hang on real quick. Let's get a normal lock. I will be right back. I'm not going to do AFK, but I'll show you what I mean by this. Alright, I'm back. Told you I'd be back. Alright, so here's the odd thing about these pin and tumbler locks. And this is not all about all wafer locks, but this is common for this. Is basically this type of wafer locks has what's called two-step position. So this is a clear version of what's inside a lock here. Let's see. Thanks for welcoming. I appreciate real people. So if you guys like realness, definitely come when I am. Yeah. Now after this, I'm gonna look through who followed us and chatted with us, and I'm gonna follow everyone back because, trust me, I know, okay, regardless of political opinions, particularly, I know what it's like to particularly go on to DLive, and you're like, oh, cool, someone's streaming Super Mario Bros. 3, and you follow them, and then the next day they're streaming, like, The Last of Us or, like, Among Us or whatever, and then you click on, and all they're talking about is weird meatloaf recipes that Alex Jones has brought up, about like supporting the Clinton administration or things like that. And you're just like, what the, and you just unfollow them. Like, I know what that's like. Not say that doesn't happen on Twitch or YouTube, especially YouTube, but that's very common on DLive. So our whole thing is kind of just putting out there, like, just content. It's not that we don't get political or anything, but it's more like, you're not going to hear us talk about, like, I'm trying to think of something. Like, you're not going to hear us talking about, like, how you can fit, like, alien cosmic 5G rays inside of a USB thumb drive or something. Like, we don't do that on that show. We do concrete, cool stuff that's just cool stuff. So that's it. So anyhow, like I was saying, this is a clear lock. You can get these. A lot of them are from China, as the president says, who will hopefully not be that way in a couple of days. Please. Anyhow, this is what it looks like inside of a pin and tumbler padlock here. I hope as I try to game as I raise my kids. Good job, Ideal Touch. So what happens is that, I'm not going to go through the whole spiel, and I'm at an odd angle here because normally I should be holding it like this. But, when you pull this and it does the actuator and stuff, then this is good. I would not recommend picking this if you're by yourself. This is really a demo, you guys. So I'm going to pick this lock because this is designed to be the easiest, stupidest lock to pick open. And I want you to notice something that I'm going to demo on here. So let's use the, let's use this short hook here. So I lined up all the pins. And I didn't even look at it. I just did that by feel, but watch. So when I get that popped open, because there's some little resistance back, you notice how I can move the core when it's fully picked. Now, obviously, if I let it go back to its normal position, all the pins are going to fall down, and then I'd have to pick it again to open it, which I believe I can demo here. So yeah, like that. But note that, again, when I have it actually opened, I just did the cheat method, I can still move this core. Not all, because I do have padlock wafer locks that go by this principle, but when you have these industrial wafer locks like this, with this type of like latch system, there essentially are two wafer alignments, one that's vertical and one's horizontal. So again, in order to actually get this closed, I would have to pick or rake this back closed, which is actually what we're going to do now that I know I can open this up. Plus, I want to open it again just to make sure that I have stuff. I'm pretty sure Silver Salt, because it's his thing, he's been also trying to open it forever. So, it's going to be really exciting for him. Can't pick them, drill them. Professional lock pickers and like landlords and stuff and like EOD people, if they can't do that, they will break and drill through a lock. However, one of the reasons why lock picking itself is a useful skill is because I won't say that lock picking doesn't damage the lock, but it's the least damaging way to get a lock open. Like, drilling is your last resort because that essentially destroys the entire lock mechanism and you have to buy a new lock. That's why, for example, when TOOOL had meetings, and we had physical meetings here at DEFCON 201, and when people come to learn lockpicking, we get a lot of landlords because they're sick and tired of just drilling through the lock, which means they have to spend $20 to $50 to replace that lock. And when you have, like, let's say, like 20 tenants in a building, this is a problem every single time they lose their keys. Every, 3 tenants each lose their key each week. That's a lot of money. So they'd rather know how to pick the lock open so that way it can still be reused again. And I've had our old neighbors and other friends of mine who would get locked out, and they would give me permission to pick the lock on their door, and I would get it open, let them go inside, feed their cats, and find the key that they accidentally left inside the building. So there's things like that. Note with that, I said that I got permission from them. Again, I didn't own that lock, but I got permission from them to do it, so that's why they allowed that. And it's really up to you, but as I said, in general, it's basically like sexual consent. Do not pick locks that you rely on, and do not pick locks that you don't own. So that's a whole thing. Again, my neighbors gave me permission in order to do that. So there you go. So throw some graphite into the try and fill the gaps. That's the other way to destroy the lock. It's kind of like network programming. It's like that big brain. You can't hack the network if the network is down. So now we're going to do the same thing again. I'm going to actually try this in like this normal display. And I realized you need very little tension for this because I want to try practicing different angles. And we're going to go back to the half ball again. And I'm actually going to attempt to pick this closed now. So everything's lined up here. And I think there's only 2, maybe 3 wafers you actually need to manipulate in order to get... Yep, and it's closed. I can lock it closed now. So now, you can't open it. And I'm going to open this one last time to show that, you know, didn't do anything. Actually, what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to rake it open. So I'm going to use the same half ball. And instead of using it like a pick where I move it up and I go back and I move one wafer and then another wafer, that's what I did both times previously. I'm going to put it so it's like half the wafers are moved up, and then I'm going to go back and forth in motion, which just like with pin and tumbler lock rakes is the same method, pressure and motion, as you brushing your teeth. And that should open it as well, because again, there's only 4 wafers in here, and I doubt there's any security wafers that would prevent security measures on the wafers that prevent me from waking it open. So I'm going to rake this guy open, and then honestly, let's see, we streamed for an hour and a half, so this is going to be a really short stream, but unless you want me to go to another pin and tumbler lock, that's driving me crazy. But yeah, I'm going to try to rake this open, and then I will decide if we keep streaming longer. By the way, we already did the lemons distribution. When we get to the end of the stream, if you're on Twitch, we usually raid someone else's stream, and it's been fun because when we started out, it was like us, Kip Boga, and a couple of other like hackers were on Twitch. There was like 5 other hackers besides us, so like we didn't know what to do. And then like as time went on, particularly once we got to Hackers on Planet Earth and DEFCON safe mode back in August, now everyone's on Twitch, so we usually have someone or something really fun to raid to on Twitch. But for DLive, good for the lemons. For YouTube, we're gonna try to figure out something for YouTube, but let's try to rake this guy open, and then I'm gonna go over what was needed to open this, why I got stuck, and what I figured out. I mean, it took me a couple of months because I was trying different techniques, but during this stream to open this. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this tensioner. We're going to do some slight tension here. And again, I'm going to go in. It's very light, not very light, but light tension. I'm going to go, I'm going to, and we should get an open by doing this. Oh, and it fell out. Yeah, nothing's worse when you stick it in the slot and then you do such a rough motion so well that it just slips out. I don't know if anyone else has had that problem, but I have that problem occasionally. Actually, I think the problem here is I'm going to tilt the camera down. She's wet and dripping. Because I'm going to do an even bigger innuendo and basically hold it to my crotch, because this is honestly for me the best way to stabilize. I'm wearing all black, so and yes, this is Luigi Mansion Dark Moon launch shirt. Fight me. And again, I'm gonna put that light tension. Yep. Put that. Damn it. Slippage. That's the other problem with the lube, is that the lube is now acting way too well. So I'm gonna put light tension on it, and we're gonna try to rake this guy open, because now you know how to single pin pick it open. Let's see if we can. That's the top prong popped off. Hang on. Okay. So it's a reset. I'm actually going to use my thumb here like this. Hold this against my body. I think the main thing is... Oh, man, it fell. Let's see. Well, nice to meet you guys. Thank you. Hopefully see you around Stream Worldwide. Catch you when you're live streaming. Yes. And again, next week... if I remember correctly, next week should be another episode of Hackle N Commander, which would be Wednesday at 8 p.m. It depends on how well N Commander's feeling at the time. He does a lot of particularly retro hacks, but he just hacks the crap out of all sorts of devices, both virtual and physical. There's a lot of new physical stuff in the mail. Actually, next week should be really packed, to be honest. If I remember correctly, next week should also be the next episode of Archvile Linux Perspective, which will be on Thursday at... Actually, I might have to redo N Commander's thing, so we'll see. But anyhow... which is at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where G.I. Jack tours his Arch Linux machine. He likes to usually do a mix of hacking and gaming, so if you want to see some awesome video game footage, definitely check that out next Thursday at 7 p.m. And then this upcoming Saturday is my other show called Crypto Barons, where I look at blockchain technology from a technological perspective, and that will be Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you really want a shit ton of lemons on DLive, that's the show to go to because I will probably buy a lot more lemons to distribute to everybody. So the whole thing is I know I can single wafer pick this open, but my new issue is raking, and I'm already running into a problem here, which I usually have similar to the top of the keyways, which is that the motion of the raking seems to just, God, she's really slippery and wet. I don't know what I'm doing here, but at least I know I'm doing something good. She must really like the rough motion. But no, oh, it raked open. Okay. So that actually did it. I guess right when I had the pressure turn fell off, but I was having the same problem, which again, the reason why, and I can actually show you with the clear plastic lock here, like, you know, normally if I see a lock that's like this wide open keyway and stuff like that, I would normally do no real security pins. Even sometimes with security pins, I would use a bottom of the keyway tensioner, and I would go in and I would, oh, I actually realized I have the camera tilted down, and I'd go in and I would pick each of the individual pins in here and have it open. And to show you also what you would do with a rake is, let's see here, because I'm not going to use a rocking rake, which is really what this thing should be called because I think it's cooler, but this is not a city rake or L rake. There's another. Let's get not an S rake. Let's use a double bump here. Yep, we saw that on the follow on Twitch. Thank you for that ideal touch. And like we go in again, it's the same thing where you move it up slightly and you do the same brushing motion and it pops. Now, because the reason why that works for like that sort of back and forth raking is because, and you want to use bottom of the keyway for your raking techniques, even with a city rake with the rocking part, is because since it's at the bottom of the keyway, there's all this space at the top for the rake to actually move back and forth at a gauge. So you know, no matter what I do, it does not disturb this bottom of the keyway tension wrench. The reason why, and this drove me crazy with the Polaris set, if I remember correctly, which is an amazing set of rakes that eventually I'm going to get, but it comes with two top of the keyway tension wrenches. There's also some Peterson packs that have rakes in them, a lot of rakes, more rakes than picks, and they still provide only top of the keyway tensioners, and that drives me nuts because if you do any sort of, if you have a set that predominantly relies on rakes, you might want to put in just as an option a top of the keyway, but you should at least include some basic bottom of the keyway tensioners of different width, because the problem here is, again, it bites that first part of the top of the keyway, which means right behind the first pin, which means when you go in there and you rake and you do it really kinetically, in order to get to that first pin and do it, you basically end up, and I'm going to do that, yep, it pulls that tensioner out. So when you do raking, you ideally want to do bottom of the keyway. Now, obviously, this does both top and bottom, and that's the issue that I was having before, was I couldn't get really that first, with the ball rake, I couldn't really get that first wafer. Let's do it on the back background here. So yeah, so when I had, and I know this is black, so it's going to have a hard time seeing, that's what she said. Because of this, I couldn't get to that first wafer. In order to engage that, I'd have to go in so deep, or basically so shallow, that I would end up pulling this, which would pull that out. And you saw that even though I finally got the open after a while, I had an issue with it because it was basically the top of the keyway part of this dual top and bottom of the keyway tensioner set would open. Actually, what I want to try to do, if I can, I'm going to pick this close, is remember that this really weird sort of double bump, and it's more of a rounded edge on those bumps, so I theorized that would kind of work as if I actually had like a double ball with the balls that are equal size as they should be. I actually wonder if I can do that on this guy, and I'm going to tilt the camera up to rake it close, and we're going to try that once or twice, and whether I get a success or a fail, what I will do then is go over why I was struggling with this thing and what we found out, not only through a couple of months, but particularly on this stream, in order to get this open. So I'm going to hold it awkwardly like this in my lap. I'm going to put these two rounded bumps on the top. Honestly, also at this angle, I might be over... Yeah, I'm going at the right direction. I just might be over-tensioning just because of how musculature's... Oh! Did I do that? Did it work? No. Darn it. All right, let me try a different hand position here. This is actually really hard really hard. It's really hard when she's slippery and wet. No, it's hard to actually put light tension this way. I just want to see if this tool might work as a better rake. And I already think I'm putting way too much tension. Yeah, this guy almost popped out. All right, so let's see here. So just make sure this is closed. I'm going to do this one last time, and then I'm probably going to experiment off camera where I can take off my clothes and be really comfortable and do this properly. But we're going to do this one last time on the stream here, so I'm going to put the bumps facing up. I also want to note that in real life, if your tool that's attached to you has bumps on it, you definitely want to check out a doctor if you can afford it. Particularly if you're in New York, there's actually free resources in Brooklyn for that. So yeah, I think even with this guy, I'm having the same problem as before, so I'm actually going to quit now and explain on stream how we did this, and then maybe I'll do another annoying lock, but I honestly think, because I want to eat dinner and stuff, that I've done on stream, even though I'm having a good amount of viewers now. So, what we found out with this lock was that this is this was not a pin and tumbler lock. That was mistake number one. This was actually a wafer lock. Originally, when I found this, I thought that was actually a slot cover for the rest of the pins, because I have seen higher security locks. I found it odd because I'm like, this looks so low security, to be honest, like in terms of like this construction. I mean, it's all construction. Like if I put something in here, like this is not going anywhere. But this was more of, now it smells like WD-40. I am gonna take a shower after this. But no, it's more of like so I'm like, why does it seem like there's these high security functions on here, like half of a sleeve and stuff like that? Wow, she's still dripping. This was a good episode. I need to smoke a cigarette after this. But no, and it turns out that I was stupid, and these are actually wafers, which means, again, like I said, normally this ball pick would work. Anytime you see these sort of ball rakes, so sometimes like with the Southward sets, or if you get an advanced lock picking set, or if you're just shopping online, you'll find these type of picks where they either have one ball or the dual ball, which is like a snowman, or a full ball, half ball, things like that. A lot of balls. If you see a pick with balls, that is particularly designed for wafer lock. Now you can single pin pick with normal like hook tools, and honestly probably it's even better, these half diamonds. But these sort of the balls and the snowmans are designed for wafers because of the way wafers are designed. Again, if you go back a couple of episodes there's 2 episodes that we have about lock types, one before we had the HD zoom camera and one when we did. That will go over how the wafers are set up. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? Just as a treat here, just to do this one last time, we're actually going to switch back to the other camera mode. And I am going to open the U of tubes. I don't know what YouTube video this is going to, but I just want to get to any YouTube. That tech lore thing. And there's no audio, but I'm just going to do wafer lock inside and find this really old but really awesome, here it is, wafer lock. Let me switch stuff here. We're going to take off Android for a second. We're going to make everything weird looking, but we're going to look at this really awesome video while I explain this. So the reason, again, like I said in a previous video, and why is everything being weird now? There we go. The reason why that circle shape is good for wafer locks is because how they're designed. Pins, again, they look like little key pins, at least look at like little tiny bullets, which is why pointed ends work, because you want to essentially cup those bullets and move them up and down. Wafers are just these little slots of metal. And, you know, when you have an exact point like that, it's very hard, as you saw when I was using a short hook or even a steep hook, to figure out which wafer I'm moving. Also, under that thing, it feels very weird. With the rounded shape, it has more of a surface area to grab that singular slot of metal, and that allowed me to feel better, to feel the different wafers better and to lock. Another thing also about wafers, as they show here, is that they can go in either, they can actually be pulled in either direction. In this case, they basically took wafers and set them up as a pin tumbler lock, meaning that all they simply did was they moved, what they simply did was they just lined them all up with the same side spring. So first thing was to realize that this was a wafer lock, which thank you Houdin ID. For some reason I didn't think of that until I figured it out. The other problem is that again, I had the same problem where I'm like, well, there's only 4 in here, and the problem is that normally, like I have with the other wafer locks I have, I just put a bottom of the keyway tensioner right here, right? And that's an issue because this slot is so incredibly small, that's what he said, that I can't really fit tools in here to manipulate these wafers. So that's why I was trying to go for a top of the keyway. But then, ironically, with this tool, and actually I probably could do it now with these top of the keyway locks, but primarily this tool, which is why the bottom of the keyway wouldn't work. It turns out the actual turn mechanism for this latch was not the inner core, which you can, if there was a close-up cam, and I'll probably maybe show us a future episode, you could actually see how it looks like there's a little bit of metal at the top and the bottom. That's the actual inside core. That is what the top of the keyway slot was going into, if I can do it like that, and that's what I was tensioning, and it wasn't open, and Tyler and I did this, and I'm the bigger expert here, and I was doing that for like 2 months. And then it just literally hit me now, looking at this tensioner, because I said on air that I can't tell if I'm supposed to tension this inner part or this outer part. And it turned out it was actually the outer part that was connected to the actual latch. And that was the problem, because that means when I was tensioning the inner part, even when I had all the wafers lined up, because I could feel it felt like the wafers were sliding back down as if they were like security pins or security wafers. And I was like, why is that happening? Are there security wafers? No, they're just normal wafers. The issue is that even though I had all the wafers at the right level, I was tensioning the wrong part. So no matter how much I turned, it wouldn't open. When I actually tensioned the correct part of the latch, which is the outer surface part of this dial, once I moved 2, maybe even 3 wafers, I think it's 3 wafers, it actually engaged the actuator and then turned the whole unit, and I can open it. So what we learned here is that in order to open this wafer lock, you have to use, I don't think you necessarily have to use this sort of like double prong top and bottom of the keyway, but that certainly helped. And you have to actually tension the surface outer part of this wafer tumbler. And then I went in with a normal half ball wafer pick, and because it's much more difficult to rake with simply because of the way these keyways work. And then I go in and move all the wafers, and when they lined up, just like with a pin and tumbler lock, they lined up, I had the right amount of tension, and it would turn and lock and unlock. Whoop, as that thing fell. So, I'm going to tilt it up to me now. So, and that, actually, let me tilt it up to say this. So that was today's episode of Master of Unlocking. We learned a bunch today, and again, I learned how to open this thing, and also like to think more out of the box with different methods and stuff, and being a bit more observant. But I hope all of you watching learned sort of like, again, not to diss on these guys. They're not my mentor, but they're huge in the world. So I'm not saying anything bad about Lock Lab or Lock Picking Lawyer or whatever. But one of the reasons why I do this show, Master of Unlocking, and G.I. Jack does Archvile, and N-Camera does, and we have all these shows in addition to our meetings, is because a lot of times when you see lock shows, it's not even that, they know so much better. They were already practicing on the locks they were demoing. So, yay. Thank you, Jason. So when you see them be like, okay, this is like a 900 series, blah, 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 and then you go in and it's 2 things, that they're already familiar with that lock most of the time. And so that's why it seems it's great. What you don't see, which they go through definitely, and you saw what I went through and what actual hackers do, whether they're coding or picking locks or whatever, is sitting there being like, all right, how do we do this? All right, what is my methodology? All right, so I'm going to try all of these, and then none of them worked. Wait a minute, now we're just going to go full plaid, and I'm just going to grab stuff and throw things at it until it works. And then something works, and then you have to reverse engineer okay, what did I do to make it work? And then document that out, and now you have a game plan of like, this is how you deal with this type of lock, and you can take that and apply it to other locks of the same type. Or like for a network security thing, it's like, okay, so I'm just throwing things at the password thing. Should I try to crack the password? That's taking too long. Should I social engineer someone? Maybe someone left in a plain text file. And then you eventually find and you realize, so a common thing that happens here is that unfortunately people do leave them as plain text files in their social media. I found that listing of all the passwords. So one of the first things that one of the things you should probably do is check to see if there's a plain text, and you look at who works there, and so that's what you normally don't see on a lot of hacking stuff. And that's one of the reasons why in particular I try to do Master of Unlocking live, so even if I'm familiar with a lock, like, things happen, so you can see when I have mistakes, when a lock is just stubborn and doesn't want to open, or when I'm really stupid and have an epiphany like I did now. So not only I hope you learn methodology if we sat down, applying our knowledge of what, first of all, we had to identify the lock. Second of all, once we actually properly, and that's the key word, we properly identified the lock as everything falls, we have a listing of tools, and we know our tools and the type of locks well enough that we have theories of what type of tools we need to use and what methods in order to open it. And then when those didn't work, we went to an experimental stage where we just picked things that we think might work that we haven't ever used yet, and then we tried it. And that's in a combination of knowing our tools and methodology well, plus just experimenting, got this lock to actually open. So I hope you all learn how to see in real time how someone who knows a good amount of stuff, or I'd say a decent amount of stuff about locks, how they would attack a lock that they haven't opened, either haven't seen yet or are unfamiliar with, like what I did with this guy. Hello everybody, I am now open. It only took 3 months because Sidepocket is an immediate. And then what I got, not only did I learn how to open a lock, this type of lock, but and a different, new play to apply the methodologies that I learned. But I hope you got to see how someone, as they call it, the term is attack a lock. How someone saw a lock they were unfamiliar with, and even if you don't know any of this, like, it might seem advanced to you, but that the first thing you need to do is like have a background and know what plan and what methodology you might use. Because if I just start, just throwing tools at this thing and bouncing off, I mean, I kind of did that at the end, but you won't get anywhere. And that's the same thing with any sort of hacking thing you need to. So what we're going to do now is we kind of treble off here is I'm going to go on to, yay, cool. I'm going to go, once I get off of DLive here, I'm going to go to the Twitches. And if you're on Twitch, we're going to go raid a stream. So I'm getting this thing going here. We're going to see who is live right now. And again, if anyone has any questions about what I just did, or about us as an organization, or my crazy hair, or me playing Luigi's Mansion, which is one of my favorite series, whatever, please let me know while we spend this last couple of seconds trying to figure out who. So Project Melody, she's been streaming a lot. She's weird. She's like an AI porno bot. It's so weird. I mean, she's not a porno bot on Twitch. That's somewhere else. But that's what she's kind of like, a big tittied rendered AI. I find amusing. Bob Ross's birthday stream still going on, but I want to see if there's any hacker AF stuff. We might even just look at a new stream. See, there's some DJ stuff going. Who are we following? Is there any code stuff going on right now? So unfortunately, Bacon Bot. Let's see what he's doing. Go Funk Yourself Night. He's doing Python, Vim, Postgres, Arch Linux, Bash, and Tmux. Oh God, this person needs all the mental support they can get, because if any one of those, a noose would just fly from the ceiling. But like a combination of those, that is definitely someone playing the master levels at Doom Eternal right there. that is wiping your butt with a cheese grater levels of I am not having fun. He probably works at Google. So let's see, creator. We're gonna go into the chat. So we're gonna raid this guy's coding stream. So you got to see a lot of physical security stuff, and this is not security, but we like our engineers out there. So we're gonna go and we're gonna raid this person's stream. I think next time I'm streaming on Crypto Barons, we will go raid a new maker stream that we haven't seen before. Anyhow, that was it for the Master of Unlocking. If you liked what you see here, no matter what platform you're on that you're watching this, you can click that bell. You can follow, share, subscribe on Twitch, DLive, or YouTube. When we're streaming, we see notifications that and cheer you on. Even when we're not streaming, you can go totally do that. I also don't know if the closed captioning system actually worked. Did it? actually going to try to turn it on. Does it actually work? Oh my god, it actually works. Yay, I figured it out, I think. So we're going to go raid this guy's stream here. And yeah, if you have any more questions about us as a group, you can go to our website at defcon201.org. We're also on social media. Our most popular social media is our Twitter at defcon201nj. And we're on Instagram and GitHub and the hostducks.social Mastodon instance, and we have our own Onion and a bunch of different things. You can find that all on our website at defcon201.org. If you want to contact me, you can DM us on Twitter or email us at info@defcon201.org. I can say right now, so again, sometime later this weekend, we should have our details for our November 20th meeting. I know I say this every time, but I guarantee you don't want to skip this. It's going to be nuts, even by our standards. And that's not an exaggeration. Wait till you see what the topic is, and wait till you see all the people we brought. It's going to be a nice mix of tech and policy in the most dirty New Jersey method possible. So stay tuned for that. But later on this week, I believe this week, I'm trying to think. Is it? Hold on. Let me check here on the calendar. Hi, Disimo. Thank you for the thanks. Let's see, 28. Actually, no. So next, I think we're not streaming anything later this week. I have to go look that up again. Let's see. Yeah, I might throw an End Commander. If he's up on Wednesday, I might be able to. Also, it's post-election, so depending on how that goes, he might be dead. Maybe we'll do a special stream for Wednesday. Who knows? We'll figure that out. But anyhow, what I do know is happening at some point, either this Wednesday or next Wednesday, is going to be Hack All End Commander. That's 8 p.m. on Wednesdays. Next week. That's what I meant to say. Next week on Thursday is Archvile Linux Perspective, which is by our co-founder. He's the one who naturally applied gave us the lube. If you want to see more lubey goodness with Arch Linux and video games, check out his show next Thursday at 7 p.m. And next Saturday will be a new episode of Crypto Barons, where I will look at some blockchain or cryptocurrency technology, and we're going to run code and stuff and talk about snake oil salesman bullshit and stuff like that. And of course, November 20th is stuff. Also, stay tuned real quick. We are going to go back to charity later on this week. We're going to probably announce that during our meeting announcement, like all this month, because we have so many days in November. We're going to be doing a charity thing, so stay tuned for that announcement. And we are going to at least have one special stream and possibly a launch of a new show that will happen once a month that you can check out. So anyhow, again, this was Master of Unlocking. I hope you enjoyed watching me struggle, and actually for once, I can't believe this, finally opening a big pain in the ass thing that has been giving me trouble for months. If you're on Twitch, we're going to go to Begenbot stream. I hope you learned a bunch. I learned a bunch today's episode. Once again, I'm Sidepocket from DEFCON 201. You can check us out at defcon201.org. Hack the planet, Dirty Jersey represent, and I will see you when I see you. I'll probably see you next Saturday for Crypto Barons. Anyhow, peace, guys. Enjoy your night. Tell Begenbot I said hi. Be safe. Happy Day of the Dead.